Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 15th. It's the year 2020. The month is June. Or at least that's what they want us to believe. Let's go back in history, shall we? Remember one day when it was the election or the selection period in America? And Americans were presented with two choices, because it's a free country. Choice A was a murdering, psychopathic, scumbag, evil, man-hating witch named Hillary Clinton. I'm literally driving over the Meridian here in the Ozarks. The other choice was a multi-billionaire who was a billionaire twice in America, who was also an actor on a show called The Apprentice. You're fired. You're fired. Now, in the religion of Freemasonry, when you're trying to transform someone, something, a country, a continent, a world, that ritual is considered the apprentice. COVID-19 was the apprentice ritual foisted on all of the world. At any rate, Donald J. Trump, who is a Israel first, Zionist, Kabbalistic, maybe father-in-law of the Antichrist, who knows? But here's the deal. They used him to get to the disgruntled white Americans. This was the great white hope. Make America great again. MAGA. MAGA. You get it? Many of us said long ago that because of what things like The Economist magazine and other hints the elites throw out there in publications, that Donald Trump was going to be the last president selected in the corporation of the United States of America. And it turns out that's true. COVID-19 was foisted on Americans in an attempt to get an uprising. They certainly could never have modeled, they could have never have artificially intelligenced, they could have never war-gamed or drilled the response of Americans being told to stay 6 feet away from each other, wear a mask, stop going to work, stop feeding your family, stop going outside, and lock it in your house. There was no precedent. They assumed there would be an uprising. Hence, the military was rolling in all directions at all times. Governors were calling up massive amounts of troops. Donald J. Trump, and this still applies, called up 1 million soldiers that were recently released from their contractual duties. They're done. You're out. You're over. Your tour is over. They're all on the line again. But Americans didn't stand up. Is this dude driving down the wrong side of the road? Americans didn't stand up. But they stayed in. So this gave them all sorts of information to study. Like, wow, these idiots can't even look up for themselves that COVID-19 is a mild flu. These idiots can't look up for themselves because we're publishing it. All the numbers that we're putting out for deaths in entire countries are fraudulent. 80% or more of the people claimed to be COVID deaths had 3 or more pre-existing conditions, and most were in their 70s and 80s. And the other 20%, they were just lies. Man killed by bus. COVID. Man murdered in New York City. COVID. Police officer kneels on fellow's neck for 9 minutes till he dies. Turns out that guy also had COVID. So who knows what his death certificate says, even though that was all a farce. But they used that particular COVID death to set off protests and riots. And they used a specific group, Black Lives Matter. Now, we already know through other protests and riots that Black Lives Matter just like every single solitary other militia, motorcycle club, organized crime, any grassroots organization that's an NGO or not affiliated with the government has been infiltrated by the government. Because the governments are the biggest criminals in the world. They don't want competition. Black Lives Matter is absolutely no exception. It's a Soros, Gates, Obama Foundation, Southern Poverty Law Center Foundation sponsored institution, using assets, which many were uncovered, to go to the protest and start rioting and then literally set it off, due to places like Seattle and Washington, where government and city officials literally handed the keys to the city over, and now we have places like Jazz. It still isn't enough. It isn't in every city and town. So they went the next step. They put an arm around Black Lives Matter. Now anytime you go to Amazon, eBay, PayPal, any website to buy anything, because it's easier these days because stores are still shut down because of the COVID hoax, they all say, would you like to give money to Black Lives Matter? You're seeing Black Lives Matter on the Ellen DeGeneres show. Remember the woman that lied and said she was straight and then finally came out and said she was gay and everybody loved her? Oh, Ellen's the best. They're legitimizing this, and that is to piss off the same people who thought Donald Trump was going to fix or make America great again. They're going to keep pushing this until we have absolute all-out civil war. And for those people that belong to Black Lives Matter for the right reasons, cool, I get it. I get it. But understand, your leadership is completely bought and paid for. It's just how it works. The same people pulling the strings on COVID, the same people pulling the strings on Black Lives Matter, are the same people that have been pulling the strings forever, whose families all own slaves. Do you see what I'm saying? Let me tell you what. If white America finally wakes up and thinks it's a wrap and it's time to throw down, white Americans are heavily armed. It's gonna be absolutely ugly. They are trying to force everyone's hand. They're not gonna let go of this. They're already threatening a second lockdown because COVID deaths are out of control. Well, I'll tell you what, if I didn't check in on the internet or check in on the news, everything is fine. People in Missouri aren't necessarily all awake, but they're just ignoring it. Well, the elites can't have you ignoring it. This problem has to be in every city, every town, everyone's face. And if white Americans continue to see Black Lives Matter all over everything like they will, there'll be another event. Even if they have to manufacture one, they do it all the time. How many times has the FBI been caught giving someone a bomb to blow something up so they can arrest them for having a bomb and blowing something up? How fucked up is that? But it's true. You know how we know that? Because FBI agents and the people that they were trying to turn into a terrorist have recorded it, transcribed it, and told us. It's old news. The government is the criminals. Not every single one of them, but almost all of them, because over the last couple of decades, they've weeded out people that would stand up for their oaths. Do you see what I'm saying? They're going to abolish the police? Of course they are. This is the New World Order. How many times have we told you this scenario was coming verbatim? And the people that would be involved, Gates, the Rockefeller Foundation, etc., etc., etc. The CDC is talking about another lockdown. The CDC is a for-profit company that isn't really an arm of the government, just like the Federal Reserve is not an arm of the government. They did all this so the government could consolidate power and buy more of the earth away from us so we can't be on it. They don't want police because the New World Order will be using the UN. One government, one military, one religion, one world order. They don't want police. And if there's no police, it will be absolute pandemonium. All these hippies and assholes they're presenting us with us on television, these people are useless folk. You know what I'm saying? Seriously. We're all being played. And it's going to end badly for all of us. Keep protesting, keep rioting, keep believing the hype. We're going to end up fighting. And it ain't going to be good. Who wins? Not us. Do you have an underground bunker? They do. Lots of them. Remember all the videos I made about every single person in Silicon Valley? Gates, Zuckerberg, all these rich assholes. They all have the ability to live underground for years at a time while we fight it out. They want civil war. They need it. They are just so diabolical that they could get us to do their dirty work. If you fall for it, you're a sucker. Richie from Boston. I'm out.